What is up, guys? This is Linthio coming at you with a discussion video today about boss monsters and kind of a response to Team APS. So they did a video on saying, are boss monsters kind of dead? And the simple answer to that, in my opinion, is no, they are not dead. And I don't think boss monsters will ever be dead. But the difference between boss monsters back in the past and now is that they have changed. Back then, boss monsters were something that was one card. You had one copy maybe in your deck, or maybe 3 copies, but it was a single card that you would revolve around getting out. We look at Teledad. Dark Arm Dragon was the big boss monster everyone had. We look at Lightsworns. JD is the boss monster without shadow of a doubt. All of these decks had one kind of focal point to get out, and when you got it out, it was so devastating. But nowadays, we have decks like Burning Abyss, like Qwilforth, and like Satellarknights maybe, that don't really have typical boss monster cards. But if we truly look at it, they actually do. We look at Qwilforths, they run Disc, they sometimes run Stealth, and they also sometimes run Towers. They are what I consider boss monsters. Disc comes out and hits the board, it does the exact same thing that JD would, in the sense that you are gaining an incredible amount of power, incredible amount of momentum, an incredible amount of advantage. It's the same with Burning Abyss, with Dante. Dante and Virgil are the deck's boss monsters, let's face it, because you want to go into them and you really gain a lot of advantage from them. And with Satellarknights as well, Deltaros and Trivia, pretty devastating cards because they kind of do the same thing as the boss monsters of the old decks. I feel that the way boss monsters are run are different now. There are multiple copies, but they are in a different form. There might be a deck that has a couple of boss monsters, so if we look at Necloths, for example, they have Trishula, they have Brianarch, and they have Unicorn. They're pretty solid cards and can arguably be boss monsters. Trishula is definitely a boss monster. Brianarch could be, and Unicorn is kind of one of those that maybe it's not. If you really look in the Necloths and think of the cards that are actually based off Trishula, Brianarch, things like that, they are boss monsters. Their original forms were boss monsters in the decks. Brianarch was a ridiculous boss monster card, the same as Trishula. I don't think boss monsters will ever leave the game. I just think the form's always going to change. And I think now is one of the biggest shifts that boss monsters have had into a different form. Now, our meta has taken a lot of different twists and turns, but in most recent years, it's changed a lot. Ever since Duelist Revolution, I feel, the game has really shifted heavily, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. A lot of people don't like the way it has shifted, but it just has, and it's the way that the game's going to evolve. And with that, boss monsters have evolved as well. Because without boss monsters, decks would just kind of be meh. It just wouldn't feel right. Every time you play a deck, it would have that feeling of, I'm missing some form of power. I'm missing something to capitalize on my opponent or to deal that final knockout blow. So I want to know what you guys think of boss monsters in the game. Do you think they are well and truly dead? Or do you think they have evolved into something more greater and maybe could argue underwhelming compared to the other ones? So as I said, let me know down in the comment section below. Like, comment, subscribe, and I should catch you guys later.